This is a product video for Inozetek's Dynamic Wet Apply PPF, and here are the details. Film type, TPU, thermoplastic polyurethane, thickness 7.82 mil, has a very high gloss top coat that is self-healing. It is wet apply, warranty is up to 5 years, and the roll length is 60 inches by 20 yards. Inozetek can supply a wide range of marketing tools, including swatch decks to show the customers the wide range of colors. And when you receive the box, always make sure to document the lot number that is on the outside. And in terms of the material, it does come with a cap sheet. This ensures the high gloss finish. The liner is PET and the adhesive is flat. This helps ensure a paint-like finish. It is very conformable without breaking or cracking. And note that it's very important to test your slip solution or gel solution ahead of time to make sure you have the right mix to ensure the proper slide and tack. So take a sample, spray it with the slip solution, make sure it slides, and then once in position, squeeze it firmly onto the surface and double check that it sticks strong enough to ensure a good hold. And it's important to note that in some cases, inlays and overlays may be required, which leaves an overlap. If nothing's done on the bottom layer, the top layer may not stick. So to prep the bottom layer, it's very important to flash it with a butane torch. This raises the surface energy, so when the top piece goes on, the overlap is held firmly for long-term durability. And note that if the top layer gets scratched, it can easily be self-healed by adding heat. Now move on to install, and the workspace temperature should be between 65 and 75 degrees. And here are the recommended tools to install the Wet Apply Dynamic PPF, and note that many of the tools can come from Inozetek directly. Because this is going to be a deeper install due to the color change aspect of Dynamic PPF, it's always recommended to take the hardware off first. Then steam all the gaps. This flushes out any dirt in these crevices. This ensures long-term quality. Then it's time to clean the entire vehicle. Use a rinseless wash. Then remove the bugs from the front, and then clay bar the entire surface to make sure it's smooth. The clay bar process is very wet, so make sure to use a drying towel to speed up the drying process. Now it's time to degrease the surface. Be sure to go over the main surface area and also put extra focus on the edges. This can involve putting a squeegee in a microfiber towel to get deep inside the gap, as well as opening the sections when possible. In terms of sectioning the roll to put on the vehicle, it's highly recommended to remove the cap sheet before cutting the panel into sections. Always be sure to recycle the cap sheet. And there's two options in terms of sectioning the roll down. One is to do it by hand, another is to use PPF software and simply extend each section out 1 or 2 inches so it fits properly on the vehicle. If using the plotting method, make sure to roll it out on a table, weed out the excess film, then cut it up into sections that are specifically for each section on the vehicle. This will make for a very focused install. Be sure to label each panel precisely. And now we can get to install recommendations. We'll begin with a flat section like the front door. The vehicle can be used as a peel board. Simply spray the surface, place the panel on it, liner out, then remove the liner in increments, being sure to spray the adhesive side immediately with the slip or gel solution. Once the adhesive is fully covered with the slip or gel solution, do the exact same for the section being applied, in this case the front door. Then place the panel on it, and make any adjustments required in order to place it in the right position. Once it's perfectly in position, left and right, lock it in just above the body line with a firm squeegee stroke. That's a hinge. Then squeegee with firm overlapping squeegee strokes towards the top and the bottom. It's recommended to squeegee in vertical strokes. This keeps the panel uniform in direction top to bottom so it doesn't drift left to right. Once it's on, wipe it down to remove any soapy residue from the main surface area. And for finishing the edges in tight gaps, it's recommended to lift the film off the surface, spray it with a tack solution. This can be distilled water or alcohol and water mix. Once the film is firmly onto the surface, the excess film can be cut away. Make sure the blade angle is at the right angle so it doesn't cut the inside portion of the paint. Then remove the excess film by pulling low and flat away. Always come back in with a squeegee to seal the edge. For door handle cups, cut away the film precisely from the left and right sections if there's raised areas, then flush the door handle cup area with the tack solution. Then, using a conformable squeegee, make sure to work in increments and allow the moisture to come out the left or right side. Always be sure to use firm pressure And once complete, dry the area to double check if there's any moisture left behind. For edges, it's always important, when possible, to open the section. This makes it much easier to flush out the slip or gel solution, and it's always recommended to wrap the Dynamic PPF around the edge at least 1/4 of an inch for long-term hold and coverage. Now we move on to a more complicated section like the front fender. It's always recommended to spray the section about to be wrapped and clean it one more time with a squeegee just to ensure that there's no specks of dirt on the surface. Release the liner in the exact same way. Make sure it's sprayed evenly with the solution. And it's very important to start sections like this that have compound curves on it in the right spot. So place the panel in position, pull the film onto the compound curve first, making sure to shift the tension evenly at the top, then lock it firmly into place. Once it's placed firmly on the compound curve, squeegee it onto the top section. This anchors the panel in position, then pull evenly to the corners. Work from corner to corner. The free hand holds it in position, while the other hand squeegees it firmly to the surface. By pulling to the corners in the right direction and with the right tension, the material should shift evenly so it can be finished into the edges without tension. Always be sure to tuck the film in to set it up. Then, once the film is onto the main surface, be sure to flush it out with the tack solution. And as you can see here on the top, at least 1 inch of film is going into the gap to ensure full coverage. And note that the squeegee strokes are short and focused. For recessed areas such as this, flush it with the tack solution and work in increments, being sure to take the squeegee from the top section into the recessed area first to ensure a tight fit into the recessed area and that all moisture is out. It's recommended in some gaps to let them sit overnight. This allows the adhesive to dry fully. Then the material can be picked up, fed into the recessed area, and tucked in deeply with a tucking tool. Always be sure to click the blade before cutting, and it's recommended to use a 30-degree carbon blade. And for the gap, cut on the opposite side. Be sure to cut at the right angle. And once the excess film has been removed, use the tucking tool to take the film fully in the gap for coverage and proper hold. And for corners, it's highly recommended to use a combination of tweezers and a sharp knife. The tweezers pull the film away with nice even tension, and then the knife cuts the film away, and be sure to cut the film away at the correct angle to avoid wrinkles. In some cases, making the butterfly cut on the corner is the right call. Then once the excess film has been cut away, the film can be sealed on the underside. It's highly recommended to use a butane torch on the corners. This helps soften the film so they can form easily and with no tension. And be sure not to overheat the film to damage it with the butane torch. Make sure there are focused bursts and then form it on with a finger or squeegee. Now we focus on areas where you'll be taking the film deeper inside the body, like on this back fender. Place the panel on the main surface area as normal. Make sure there's enough excess film to go inside the body. Flush it out first with the tack solution. Then take the film in by rounding the squeegee from the top section towards the inside section and work in increments. And note if there's soft molding, the material has to be tucked behind. Cut away the excess film so there's roughly 1/4 of an inch extra, then tuck it safely behind for full coverage. Now move on to large sections where it's recommended to use 2 installers. First step, as always, is to spray the surface with the slip or tack solution. Clean the surface with a squeegee. Then spray the surface one more time to make sure it's fully covered with the solution. Remove the liner, in this case with the 2 installers holding the panel away from the surface and the vehicle. Then lock it into position. It's highly recommended to lock in the front section of the hood first. This anchors the film in position, then pull firmly to the corner. One installer holds it into position while the other squeegees. By pulling to the corner and then holding in position and squeegeeing, you can glass the film out, and then if there's any recessed areas, form them in from the top into the recessed area first. And because sections like this have large corners, it's very important to spray the tack solution on, roughly 6 to 8 inches away from the corners, and then hook the material behind the corners for deep coverage, then squeegee the film onto the main surface area. For the top and sides of the hoods, be sure to cut the film roughly 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch from the edge so it wraps under for long-term hold and coverage. Then flush out the edges with the tack solution. Wait a few hours for it to dry, or you can speed up this process by taking a heat gun and placing it on medium setting. This won't affect the PU film negatively, and it'll help dry the adhesive quickly, then form it under the edge with an application glove. And once the section is completed, be sure to go over the main surface area, and if there happens to be bubbles, be sure to deal with them right away. Use a syringe to place a small hole in the side of the bubble and a finger to press the moisture out. With the install complete, we now move on to post-install, and that involves reinstalling any hardware that was removed, and it's highly recommended to put a ceramic coating on Dynamic PPF to ensure the high gloss finish and maintenance for the customer for the long term. Always be sure to clean the surface area first with a light solution of alcohol and water, and follow the instructions for the ceramic coating. For more information on wet apply Dynamic PPF from Inozetek, be sure to go to inozetekusa.com and follow Inozetek on these social media outlets. And that concludes this product video for Inozetek's Dynamic Wet Apply PPF, proudly produced by the RAP Institute.